zone in, and then you might have to probably knock some things down, but you should be able to do this, because think about this. If you want to do real estate, you're going to work with someone else who's going to have some crazy idea, maybe even more crazy than my idea. And they're going to say to you, I want to build X in Y location, go figure it out. So I need all of you, now, time allocation. Put 1 hour or less into this. Okay? Okay, I don't need you to say, well, we'll put the convertible Mercedes here, and we're going to put the ones with the big engines. No. 1 hour or less, big picture, tissue paper, on US 1 in Boca Raton. Where can I do this? Now, if this was a term project and I had you all semester long, going back to this whole thing we did here about the go, no-go decision, well, we would want to tie up the property, we'd want to investigate it, we'd want to build it, we want to lease it, and eventually we want to sell it. Okay? But for this point, the point is, we got to find land where we can do it. Okay? I want the best Mercedes-Benz, better than Beverly Hills. Okay, so that's your homework for next week. That's the first thing to do. You got to do that. The second thing to do is at least read the 130 items on this list. It'll take you 6 minutes or less. Just read them. Okay? Half of them you won't know what they are. Half of them you say, oh, I know what that is. Because the goal is next week, if you have a laptop, bring it. If not, share it with someone else who might put notes together. The goal is to work through this. Okay?
What was the name of that attachment? Because I know you sent a few emails.
A to Z land use. It would have been, I think, the second one that was sent out, or third one. You see it? Yeah. And I put it in Word on purpose so you can manipulate it. So when it comes time to get ready for the final, which is a take-home final, now the way this is set up, I've never taught here before, but this is what I was told. I have you for 8 weeks. I have to have grades in a week at the end of that. We will have class on the 8th time. You'll get me to help you through the final. That'll be Thursday night. You'll have Friday, Saturday, Sunday to do the final, okay? And then you hand it in by email, okay? If you need to make plans with kids or boyfriends or girlfriends, whatever, you should allocate some time to not be away that time, to do the final. What I suggest you do, if you have this syllabus, I'm still trying to get my Nova email set up. On the syllabus, I have my business email. I would use that. I also have a desktop at FAU, but I would use that. I'm trying to get them to send over. My cell phone's on that. You can call me or text me, okay? So after you do the Boca Raton, build me a Mercedes-Benz, where's it going to go? And then after you skim this, if you have the time, read chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think it's beneficial to read. I don't think it'll take you that much time. As you go through this book, read it for flavor, not for detail. You're not a law student. But it's basically for you to know, oh, I didn't know that was even an issue. I now know I can move on. So there's no memorization. It's not like you have to over-highlight like I'm going to give you a final exam. It's all take-home. After next week, when we go through the A through Z of land use law, hopefully get as much of it done, Session 3 deals with the balance of how far government can go and say no to you. Okay? It's called the taking issue, T-A-K-I-N-G. Okay? Now, let me give you a quick example of week 3. All of you have a smartphone, correct? In fact, the lady in front of me has one. No? Okay. If I'm the government and I take her cell phone, I take it. Mine. Government's taking it. I'm not going to get it back. Under the 5th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, I can take it as long as I pay for it. Okay? You own land. We want to build the road bigger for the public benefit, public health, safety, welfare. Government can take your land for the road. Government wants to put a hospital. I can take your land as long as I pay for it. Okay? Everyone get that? Pretty clear. Here's your phone. You're welcome. But don't say thank you yet. Now, on the other extreme, government says, I don't want your phone. You can have it. You just can't use it, ever. Government passed a regulation that says you can never use that phone. That's like you own a piece of property, and government says, guess what? You can walk on your property and look at the stars. That's all you can ever do. That's a government regulation. They haven't taken it. But they have through inverse condemnation. So you would win there too, because government's gone too far. Those are the easy ones, right? Taking it 100%, it's mine, saying you can never use it, over regulation. What happens if you're a good American and you like to sue? And government says the following: if you get on a plane, you must turn your phone off. Well, she says, government's taking my right to use the phone on a plane, I'm going to sue. Is she going to win? Public health, safety, welfare. Government gets the balance. You're never going to have a case in the real world on the two extremes, because they're pretty clear. It's the whole thing of how far can government go and mess with you in the middle. So that's week 3. There's no homework due there. Week 4 is an important week. There's going to be a hypothetical case study that we're going to do. You'll read it in the handout that was put online. And we're going to basically start marking up on the board in tissue paper. We're going to design a site plan. And we're going to see how far can government go and say yes or no, and what are the alternatives. So that's trying to apply some of this stuff. Okay? Week 5 is environmental. Because you just want to build, pour concrete and make money. There's people out there who don't want you to do anything because they love nature. So how do you deal with that? And then week 6 becomes almost a wrap-up. It's where I say to you, okay, we spoke about some of these issues, but at the end of the day, week 6 is about you getting to 3. Okay? If you go home tonight to Grandma, and Grandma says, what did you learn in class tonight? 1, he needs a haircut. 2, he's pretty full and arrogant of himself. And 3, he says we got to count to 3. You pay $34,000 a year to come to Nova to be told you got to count to 3. That's all you need to do. Because if you can count to 3, you'll make millions of dollars. So the goal of week 6 is to have me help you figure out how to pull it all together to get those 3 votes. Week 7 is you're supposed to do a PowerPoint presentation on your case study that we'll speak more about next week, where you've figured out how another project has gone through the process. And I have to work with my friends in Palm Beach Gardens how they can do it for everyone's benefit. Then week 8 is a review, okay? And you have your take-home exam at that point. So now going back in the syllabus, A is your read-ins, about 10%. B is class activity, about 15%. I really don't know what that means, but read the stuff, come to class. You know, I say this every class. The women start at an A and then work their way down. The guys start at a C and have to work their way up. It is what it is. So both of you, just make me happy. Come to class, do the work, and you'll all end up in the middle, right? Well, should I lie to you and say it's on a different system? That's how it is. Then you have a final exam. Even though that's 50% of your grade, I'm more concerned about your case study. I think that's where you're going to learn, okay? That's where you're going to figure out how this game is played. There's a book, which I'm not going to assign, but it's called The Zoning Game. What I do is a game, theatrics. It's how I get a bunch of neighbors to allow me to put a 27-story building in their backyard, and they love me as I'm doing it. As Donald Trump says, we're going to build a wall, it's going to be a great wall. Okay? Whatever you have to do to get to 3 is what you have to do. Because you want to know something? You will not have a job in real estate if you cannot get a project approved. But with that said, little side detour, it's all about money. You might find, after taking this class, I never want to build anything in my life. I never want to go through the entitlement process. Why put my head through that, bang my head? I'm going to buy something that's already built and operational. And you might do that. And there's many companies, including the company that I worked for after building a condo for them, they said, never again will we do this. Because they would rather buy a building, increase its operations, and sell it and make a profit. This is hard, heavy lifting, going through the entitlement process. It's much easier to go buy Pier 66, it's already built. Go buy a shopping center. Go buy an office building. Go buy an apartment building. Okay? But what I'm trying to say to you, a lot of people make a lot of money by going through the zoning process, get things approved, and get it built. It's all the risk allocation. So along the way, the person who gets it zoned and flips it makes $2 million. The person who then builds it and flips it makes $5 million. So you might want to leave that $7 million on the table, not deal with those risks. I'll buy it when it's built. Okay? I know I'm not going to make as much, but I'll do good at that point. So that's where this fits into the overall process. Everyone get that? There's many people who don't want to do what I do. It's, like I said, it's the sausage being made. It's a tough process. It's getting tougher. Okay? But I need you to really dig into a case study. You need to be able to pull that apart. Now let me tell you something. I gave an A to a student last semester who did 8 work all the way through until he got to the final. Didn't do very well. Some people don't do well in finals. Other people do well in finals and papers, but would never want to stand in front of a class and speak for 10 minutes. You've got to be able to speak in front of a group for 10 minutes. Now, if you notice the syllabus, I said later on page 5, a 10-minute presentation, not 11. Never, never, never do a public presentation that you haven't rehearsed beforehand and you know you can get it done. In Fort Lauderdale, the mayor gives everyone who's a homeowner, neighbor, 3 minutes to speak. He gives the applicant 5, 10, maybe 15, maybe 20 if it's a big project. When you start speaking, he hits a button and the clock is ticking down. It would be malpractice for me to do a 10-minute PowerPoint presentation and project approved and after 10 minutes, I got 5 more minutes to go. You have to know how to trim your thing. He might give you 30 seconds, that's it. Okay? So whenever you're going to do a presentation, know what the parameters are. Know how to get down to the core. Know how to do a PowerPoint. It's the most important tool you need to know. I will throw something at you if you put on a PowerPoint this and start reading word for word for word. It's not how you do a PowerPoint presentation. You put 3 bullets in a picture and you talk. Because you know something? No one wants to hear me speak when there's a PowerPoint slide up. So I put the new slide. I'm giving an overview. You look at the picture, you see the 3 bullets. Time to move on to the next one. You got to keep your audience focused. If you got to get the 3 votes, or better yet, make believe we're a real estate investment company, and all of you have done your research for your own project. I'm only going to pick 1 project to fund, or maybe I'll make it more realistic. I'm only going to give 1 A out. The rest of you get B's or C's. Well, you better make sure your 10-minute presentation is out of the park. Okay? I'm not going to do that because I like to give A's out. But my point is, you've got to be able to communicate. It's so critical. Okay? So, like I said, I'm going to wrap this up. My goal is to allow you to do everything else in real estate but land use. But know when land use issues come up, how far you can go yourself, okay? And then when you need to reach out for help. Okay, that's the goal. So next week, you know the 3 things I need you to do. Most important, the Boca Raton Mercedes-Benz. Find me a location, US 1 Boca Raton, north of Meisner. Be able to discuss that. Quickly skim the 130 points in the chapters. My friends in Palm Beach Gardens, if you ever feel the need to call me on my cell phone to discuss this one-on-one, because it's not the clearest, please feel free to do that. Anything I can do to improve that communication, let me know. I've never spoken to a camera before. I'm letting you go 42 minutes early because I got nothing else to do. Drive home safe.
Thought into it.
4 hours is a long time to go.
Oh,
yeah.
And he wants us to just use that example.
You know, it's amazing how education is the one thing you pay for and then you want to get out of it.
I was like, where's that?
Oh, some people write that about work sentence.
Yeah.
Worse when you're undergrad.
What's
No,
that?
Worse when you're
I didn't
underground.
look at the
Oh, yeah.
The memorandum had
Well,
like.
here you made a decision
I didn't
with
put
your money,
two
either
parts,
borrow
and then,
or
like,
invest.
They do like
to
an
get to the next
overview of it,
level.
and it had a conclusion, and they had like these ways you can improve it.
There is,
So there were 3 sections.
this is a good program if you really want to go into real estate. I mean, it hits every, the only thing you could do different than this program is the Columbia University runs something like this, not through the business school, but through the School of Architecture, where you get a little bit more design stuff as well, but they also ham you with everything else. This is basically good for investment and
Right.
operations,
From
property
the
management,
business point better.
business point of view.
Yeah, University of Miami also has one, but it's from the urban level, it's more design.
Yeah, because that's because they have
and-
Duani down there, a lot of new urbanism stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's also twice the cost.
Twice the
And-
cost.
Well, I think that they also have like, so they have more like internship placements with companies than the
Yeah.
program offers, so, you know.
Are you leaving that way?
difference there.
But I will tell you this, the board of directors of trustees of this program are the who's who of South Florida real estate. You know, so at least if you leave here, you know that there's a hand group. Like if I was to get an interview and I came to this program, I would bring to the interview with me a list of the people who are the board of trustees, because it kind of like gives them their blessing. I mean, Terry Stiles is the rock star of Fort Lauderdale development. He's on the board. I would want to, you know, say, you know, Terry was teaching us, you know, as much as I possibly could. But it's tough, because I assume most people work all day long.
Yeah.
Yes.
That when you were going over,
I wasn't really serious about you started as C. I was just being cute.
I was gonna hold you to that. I'm just kidding. When you were talking about holding the property for a year, when does the clock start ticking? Is it when you buy the land and then, you know, because by the time that you do the zoning and you do this, you do that, and then you do the improvements.
I don't want to give you an answer because it really requires a tax analysis.
Right.
The problem is, if you buy a piece of property, do nothing, hold it for 366 days, you may not get capital gains if you're considered a broker-dealer, because then it goes back up to regulate. If you're kind of like a one-off investor, you get it. So there's different ways to structure it. There's also something called 1031
Yeah.
exchange, where I know people who've never paid any tax on their real estate because they keep flipping it over.
Right.
You know, as long as you in 180 days invest into another piece of real estate,
Right.
Right.
you can go from a farm to an office building, you defer the tax. You know, but that's well beyond this, but at least you need to know the issue to go talk to the accounting tax advisors.
I have one more question, actually, sir. But now that he mentioned that, he made me think of a question. When you, like the house you built on the beach or whatever, and when the government assesses the tax for the new property, is both on the land and the improvements, or just the improvements?
Okay, the way it works, I purposely, and most other people as well, will never, ever, ever ask for a certificate of occupancy in December. I will call for my final building inspection January 3rd. Because the way the game's played, January 1st, the property appraiser takes a snapshot of the value. If you don't have a CO, you can be 99% done. They don't value the building. Okay, because they only value it once a year, January 1st. So then you get a whole free year of not paying on the higher value. You'll get one tax bill, but it breaks it out,
Right.
where it'll say the land value's $400,000, the building's 1.5 million.
Right.
But the point is, you don't want to pay, if you can, on the higher amount until you can defer that. Does that make sense?
But the question I have, but the question I have is related to like a client. He built a home and then he called me and said, well, when we first bought the house that we thought we were going to remodel, the value of the land was, say, $300,000, and the house and the lot was $600,000. Now that he put a $1 million home, now the value of the land is $600,000 all of a sudden.
The property appraiser should keep the land going up a little bit,
Right.
but not
No double
astronomical.
that a year later, so
Yeah.
how do you,
I don't know what they're doing there. Where is it?
in Boca?
In the city or the county?
See,
Well, again, they're not the ones who assess it, it's Palm Beach County.
right,
Palm Beach County, homes get assessed at the county level.
right.
If you bring the bill, I can look at it, but
Just,
a lot should not be going up that much.
right. The improvements are the improvements,
Yeah.
and I can see a new house, but double the value of the lot in 1 year,
No.
because you put them,
Unless it was bought below market,
no,
you know, and see, the way the game's played, you file for homestead so you can lock in the value. I have a house in Boca Raton.
right,
Let's say it's worth $1 million. I only get assessed like it's 400,000 because
right,
I've had it for 25 years.
right.
That's the benefit of homestead. My neighbor right next door, though, if he comes down from New York and buys it, he pays it on the million. But they also capped recently for non-homestead, it can't go up more than 5% a year.
Right.
So I don't know why that's going up,
Yeah, they-
unless they're doing it on the improvements.
But the value of the house is not the value of the lot.
No, but have they got a CO on the house?
Oh, yes, a year ago. So this year's tax bill is twice the value of the land that it was 2 years ago.
That seems
They
to
went
be,
from 300,000 to 600,000, so it makes no
Sounds
sense.
like you gotta go fight that.
Well, I
Yeah.
can't fight it, it's
Yeah.
planned, and they want to pay the bill, so.
yeah. Well, there's people out there
Again,
who,
how much government can do.
yeah. And again, there's companies out there that will, for a fee, fight it, or what they'll do,
Right.
they'll fight it for free, and then they will, in fact, take as their fee part of the savings. Every tax bill that we get on our hotels, automatically we object to, set of course. So that if you can save 4, 5, 6%, it adds up.
Right.
You have to realize government will do whatever they can
Right.
to,
And the next question is to the case study. The case study has to be something that has to be already approved or denied, or can be on the boards, on the works.
if you want to do something that's under works, that's also fine. I was making it easy for someone, because if it's fully completed, you then have the application they submitted,
Right.
you can get a copy of their PowerPoint, their plans, their staff report, their approval. If you want to do something that's still work in progress,
Hopefully we'll have a decision for the 18th. It's on the news. They said it was, it's the property in Jupiter where they're proposing a new retail, like a Meisner by the beach, and people don't want it.
Oh, of
And
course
they
not.
postponed the vote last year for January.
is it in the city or the county?
City.
Yeah,
It's actually town of Jupiter.
yeah, which is a tough place. It's a small little town,
Right.
lighthouse.
People are against the route.
People are against change. Because they only see the negatives.
It's a sensitive spot though. It's right there in the inlet.
Look, every time I got a Walmart approved, I used to get them approved. People would fight and yell and scream and picket my office and what have you and sue me. And then when we finally won, we opened it, same people were the first ones in line to go shop.
Right, that's true.
You know what I found? Whether it's development or land use approvals, the fear of the unknown is always greater than the negative impacts of what's there. That's why whenever I develop property and I have a site plan and I show the first 100 lots, I never put next to it future development for phase 2. What's going to go there? I either won't show it or I'll be more upfront with what's going to go there. People just don't want to take the chance.
Right.
I have a house on the beach, okay? And you would think that the sand could never be developed. Little glitch, there's a little 75-foot sliver
Right.
that's owned by someone else who's threatening to put like a tiki hut there. And who would ever have thought, you know, so you always have to investigate.
Right.
You always have to assume someone's going to mess with you. Are you from Boca Raton?
I live in Boca. Live and work in Boca.
That's where I'm going now. Where do you work?
Small architectural firm.
I used to use Derek Van de Ploeg.
Oh, yes.
And I used to use Garcia Stromberg, and they moved up. And then there was another architectural firm being used in over by Arvida Park of Commerce. Forgetting the name. They go by a corporate name, not a individual name. But most of the architects I use are out of Miami, because it's
Right.
high-rise towers,
Right.
or New York.
Right.
Are you an architect or an architect in
I'm a
training?
licensed architect, yes.
Oh, wow.
Actually, recently got my license.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I work with my husband. He's the previous firm license holder. So
Okay.
now we're combining things. So.
Great. So you knew all about the AIA forms that I mentioned?
Yes. Well, he finds that big developers a lot of times don't want to work with those. And I find it so dangerous to not work with those contracts.
Well, the reason I like them is there's the 101 and the 101B, whatever they are,
Right.
but they have like 30 pages of the standard boilerplate for like,
Right.
what happens when there's an earthquake? Things you didn't think through.
Right.
You need to have that stuff addressed.
A lot of developers don't like because they say they look too much for the architect.
Well, then no, that's why I always hire my lawyers at Greenberg Traurig
Right.
to go in and do a 30-page addendum
Right.
to then somewhat change it a little bit. Okay, I will see you next week. Oh, I got to put this
Thank you.
camera away.
Thank you.
Thank you. Be well. Drive safe.